He was in New Hampshire last night. Smitty, go ahead.
Well, the president took on this report that Biden allies apparently want him to take a break. He's had a series of gaffes. The president took that on last night and said this about the frontrunner.
I think Sleepy Joe may be able to limp across the finish line. But today they announced that they're going to cut way back on his appearances because he is such a disaster. They're going to have fewer appearances. You've heard that, right? This is serious. They're going to cut way back on his appearances. Can you believe it? If I ever did that, it would be over.
Right, who wants to take that one on first?
You know, can I say, really quick, I got to say, they're not going to win either way. Biden allies that are supposedly, it's been reportedly, they want him to pull back and not as many appearances. Well, then you might as well just be Hillary Clinton, because that's the Hillary Clinton mistake, 100% from 2016. Trump had 5 rallies, she had 1.
Juan agrees.
She didn't show up. I mean, that was her mistake.
David
so fine, go right ahead.
Axelrod, this is bad advice. You can't cloister the candidate and still win.
You can't. I mean, I don't. So how is that possible? I don't know how real this is because, you know, the Fox poll still has Biden holding a lead. I mean, you see Elizabeth Warren coming a little closer. But Biden's consistently been in the lead, and the gaffes, you know, doesn't seem to be shaking him that badly. It's not the Democrats who attack him on the gaffes. It's Republicans.
Do you think that's the case? Because you see Warren coming up right now.
I agree.
She's taking some of his support and all that.
No, I think it's taking some of Sanders.
I think it will have an impact in the long term. 1, on the issue of age. 2, it undercuts the narrative that somehow he's the most electable candidate. But I also say if this was a Republican that said that poor kids are just as bright as white kids, it would not be treated as a gaffe. It would be treated as a statement of racism. I will also say that Joe Biden grabbed a young student's arm last week in Iowa. It barely got any attention in the national media. I remember a time when Corey Lewandowski, from a reactionary standpoint, grabbed a reporter's arm. That reporter was on Good Morning America, and it made national news. So I would just state a point of bias in the way that these things are covered.
I think voters have a pretty short memory, though, and I think in general on both sides, they can be pretty forgiving. People misspeak. The American public is not stupid. And if Biden allies think that we are that dumb, that we're not going to know that he made a mistake and he misspoke on a rally or a campaign speech,
let's
then
see
come on. We can all agree on that.
Let's see how available he is or not. Last night, again, New Hampshire. This is how the president's framing his opponents. Watch here.
And now we have a group of socialists or communists, could be. They're not far away. Does anybody want to pay 95% tax in the world? They view everybody as fascist and Nazis. They use the term Nazi. This was a term you couldn't even use it. Now they use it like on a regular basis.
Is that going to work for him, Juan?
You know, I think he's anxious about the economy, and so what he's doing is he's saying, hey, if you don't elect me, the economy goes down. I think he literally said that yesterday. And guess what? The alternative are these socialist tax and spend liberals, and they're terrible people, so re-elect me. I think that's, but boy, he had a good time. It looked like he really roused
I think the line was, you have no choice. Whether you like me or not.
Your 401k.
Your 401k.
That's pretty much what he said.
401k is goodbye.
But in fairness, so Joe Biden, who is supposed to be an alleged moderate on the debate stage, called for the elimination of fossil fuel. We're talking about the way that we get over 80% of our energy as a country. We're talking about not just President Obama's war on coal, but expanding it to things like natural gas, a direct affront to states like Pennsylvania, Ohio. This is massive loss of jobs, even talking about the way that we drive, the kind of cars that we drive, manufacturing jobs, the end of manufacturing jobs, an impact on the farming industry. So just a massive impact, increased electricity costs, all of these things. And that's from an alleged moderate. So think about that.
But they're spending time in New Hampshire. Obviously, they see this as important, and Biden supporters as well.
Well, I think, Lisa brought up something really interesting before about the Warren effect in all of this. I mean, that's where I think Joe Biden needs to put his attention now, and maybe the president as well. She has jumped 16 points since March. That is an incredible. She is now ahead of Sanders.
The president acknowledged the momentum behind Sanders.
Right. Yeah. And the one thing that he also did talk about last night, to your point about energy jobs and manufacturing jobs, is the fact all the millions of jobs that have been added under his presidency. And I think that this is coming down to, do the Democrats want to run on culture or do they want to run on policy? If you try to go after Trump on policy and the economy, you're going to lose. If you go after culture, and maybe those in Fox News polls that say that they don't really like what the president has to say, but they certainly like how he handles the economy, That's a different debate and a different election we might get
They
next
lose
year.
if the Dow's still at 25,000.
Yeah.
But where's it going to be in 14 months?
Oh, if I knew that right now, I would be sitting here, Bill. Especially after this week. Good Lord. But I mean, we know that President Trump looks at the stock market and the Dow, which is up 143 right now, as a barometer of his economy. And now he's doing a big part of that is China. That has nothing to do with the domestic U.S. economy right now. That's the
Well,
China story.
if you ask the White House, it's all about the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, different.
I think right now, looking ahead at the general election is premature. Right now, the focus is on the Democrat primary, who ends up being the nominee, because the dynamics of the race change drastically once you have a defined candidate up against President Trump. Once he starts attacking that candidate, and the dynamics are going to change a lot. So I think it's premature to jump ahead to the general election. We should stay focused on what's going on in the Democrat primary.
I think this week is about Elizabeth Warren and her jump, the tremendous momentum that she's shown. And I think it plays into the whole economic anxiety about, are we on a recession watch? Because she has made her name as someone who talks about the economy and someone who talks about protecting the average American from Wall Street, the big banks, the hedge funds.
Companies.
And I think that the passion that she's shown on the campaign trail, along with the idea that she's kind of beyond Trump, saying this is where we need to go as an American economy post-Donald Trump.
Can she beat Donald Trump?
Yeah. You know what's amazing to me is I wouldn't have said this, and I still have some hesitation. Can a woman attract those voters in those key swing states who previously were not comfortable with Hillary Clinton? I don't know. Obviously, she can be demonized, Pocahontas, and all the rest. But I'm more encouraged by her than I've ever been. Just watching.
Why would you suggest a woman can't win?
We've never seen a woman win the presidency.
But your suggestion
So you're
was that
saying it's
Hillary
impossible?
lost because she was a woman.
No, I think that it's easy to say, you know what? She's hysterical. She shrieks. I don't like her voice. I don't like the way she dresses. Oh, she looks like she's not feeling well.
I actually think it's sexist to make that point, and that somehow people rejected her solely because she's a woman and not because she was a poor candidate, because she was a bad candidate. I also think Elizabeth Warren has her challenges as well. I think she comes across as condescending, personally unlikable. I think a man or a woman can come across as personally unlikable. I say this as a woman. I would love to see the first female president, just not her.
I would hope
guys.
I just want to add, though, really quick, to Elizabeth Warren and her going after the big banks. You mentioned the Dow and the 25,000. I don't think we're going to have another recession. If we did, it would be very mild. It would not be like the Great Depression we had in 2008. She's going down the wrong road when she's going after the banks. The banks are half of what they were, and regulations in
A lot of
Thank you,
interesting
Cheryl.
stuff.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Juan. You guys have a great weekend.
You too, sir.
We get this.